Hi, I think we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Microsoft 365 Pulse. Excited to share updates with you. All of a sudden, the sun moved and I'm glowing. We're going to share updates with you on the roadmap, what is in development, what's rolling out, what has completely launched is not on the list today because there's nothing in the launch category, and then a couple of things that are canceled. So there's not a whole lot of items today, maybe only 24. So I'm going to start and just do my favorite one from in development and let the team roll with it from there. But my favorite one from in development this time is a Copilot one. And so this is Copilot highlight and rewrite draft in new Outlook for Windows and the web. And so that's great because I was using Copilot in Outlook the other day, and you could do things like do a coach, and it would tell you how to rewrite all of your emails and do all of that, but then you couldn't actually rewrite the text. And then so it was just a very almost amazing solution. So I'm really excited to see this feature come out. So out of the list of them, that was my favorite feature, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Tamara because I know if I pass it to Tom, Tom will just say, oh, we should pass it to Tamara. So I'm going to just save that and pass it to Tamara.
Wow.
And she can talk about hers.
Am I that transparent or what?
All right, I got to tell you, I found my favorite only because it gave me a chuckle. Microsoft Teams hiding of inactive channels. So Microsoft states, easily keep your channel list relevant. Teams will automatically detect inactive channels you haven't interacted with in a while and automatically hide them from you. Oh, I'm sorry, for you.
For you.
You have the option to review the list of channels and unhide some or all of them, or opt out automatic hiding from the settings, or initiate this process on demand. And that's coming out in July. I love it because if there's something important in there, I'm never going to see it.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to not confuse people. I mean, it kind of sounds like a good feature. Like my Teams list is really long and some of them are inactive, but I guarantee you I'm going to lose something and not remember where it was. And it's going to be
100%. I read this as somebody be like, hey, did you see my update? And I'd be like, no. What are you talking about? I'd be like, oh, yeah, I put it in there. Did you see it? I'd be like, no. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, sorry. Teams hid that from me because I haven't done anything in that channel for forever.
Right. And
100% that's what's going to happen to me.
Maybe it shouldn't be teams that you don't interact with. Maybe there should be a setting that says I should be interacting with this team.
The third option.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cracks me up. All right, Tom, up to you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple out here. In this one, I think it's cool, but I'm a little concerned about what it might mean for overall
storage.
Yeah. So Microsoft 365 app.
As soon as this is on there, I need to. Tom was going to take the one that's 8 paragraphs long. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, yeah, I'm going to take that one too. Loop generates a workspace after your Teams meeting. So workspace is jump-started and actively maintained or updated as new materials are shared in Teams to enable ongoing collaboration within Loop. Now, if it's doing a Teams workspace, I think that when you create a Teams workspace, it creates an underlying SharePoint site for it. And if we're going to start creating one of those for every freaking meeting that we're having in Teams, I'm like, say what?
Well, I kind of read this as Loop. It's a Loop workspace that's getting created.
But Loop workspaces, I believe, if you create a workspace, it's stored in a SharePoint site.
It is, but it's a SharePoint embed site.
Okay.
So it's not a SharePoint site like we know of a SharePoint site or act with a SharePoint site or interact with a SharePoint site.
Okay.
So it should kind of be irrelevant.
SharePoint site.
Yeah, it should be irrelevant to the end user. It's not like when you're in Teams and then you can say, hey, go to that SharePoint site. So I don't think you're going to have any of those issues because it's using that SharePoint embed feature.
Okay. Then I will need to do more reading up on that one. But anyway, I know that that's actually popped up in our tenant. I just haven't played with it yet. So we've got a number of people here who love them some loops, so that's going to go over well, I think.
I do like myself some loop too.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to mention is changes to version history for stream videos. I think this is really good. Right now, if you have a stream video out there, say it's 450 meg long, and you decide, oh, I need to change the title of it. Guess what? That creates version 2. And now you've got 900 meg of stuff out there, and so on and so forth for everything you change. Well, now what they're basically going to do in order to keep you from consuming considerable space against your OneDrive and SharePoint storage requirements, when you make changes to video data, such as adjustments to title, description, transcript, chapters, interactivity, thumbnails, or media settings, those normally trigger a new change. Each of these versions contains storage that counts towards your storage. To reduce the footprint, they're adjusting that. Soon we'll release an update to stream version history. Once released, any changes made to the metadata will no longer trigger a totally new version of the file to be created or in the version history. It'll just update the metadata and you're good to go. If you edit the video itself, then yeah, it's going to create a new version for you. But the fact that you're not creating a new version every time you just change a little, piece of metadata, I think is really going to help in terms of making better use of your storage. And there's no reason why, if I change the title, that I want to double or triple or quadruple my storage out there. So I think this is a really good one. And I think it's going to help people manage their space requirements a lot better than they have in the past.
Awesome. Well, I have one that I really thought you were going to do. And that's Microsoft Forms. Add or remove people from the response notification
I have it
emails.
flagged. I just didn't want to be a hog.
Yeah. I love that one because in so many cases, you don't want it to necessarily just go to one person. You want it to go to a group of people. And now I don't have to go into Power Automate and say, hey, do this notification about this thing that just came out. It just works. So super excited about that. I think that's going to be a good one. So I like that. How about you? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was surprised Tamara didn't take the two that were following that.
Maybe I did. Maybe I just haven't taken them yet.
Okay, never mind.
Tamara.
Go ahead, Adam.
I was going to let Adam go first.
I mean, I'm not going to talk about any ones you guys have anyways.
I know. That's why,
that's why I'm not concerned about it.
With Adam and the admin pieces.
So I have one that's not super admin-y. This is just something that, as an end user, I will like. The first one on the list was just kind of fun. It was Microsoft Teams view attachments from meetings and team calendar. Microsoft has done a good job of developing what they call or what they refer to as like a single pane of interest. The idea of going through and not having to switch your concentration into various different apps. That's why if you want to share a file from OneDrive, you can do it in OneDrive, you can do it from your Outlook, you can do it from your Teams, or you can do it from like Word or Excel or whatever you're going to do it. And the sharing experience is fundamentally the same. Just give you the option to do it wherever you want. So that way, whatever works best for you. Up until now, if you've gone through, they added the calendar function in your Teams client on the left. You can go in and see your meetings. I use it fairly often if I'm already in Teams. But the one thing that was annoying is, say I'm going to like a sales meeting and someone attached like a customer information sheet to the invite. That wouldn't have been there inside of the Teams calendar. I would have had to actually go into my Outlook client to see that information. So them going through and adding this so that way attachments that are sent out from Outlook on the web are going to be in that Teams calendar really just gives it another reason that I wouldn't technically have to switch applications if I'm already going through and working in Teams. So just a quality of life improvement for me as a user. So I like to see that. I thought it was kind of cool to see that listed out. That is set to be in development for July of this year. And then the two admin ones that I wanted to mention that I thought were kind of cool. The first one I actually think is super neat, and it's going to be nerdy when I explain why it's super neat, but it's still fun. It's for Microsoft Intune Device Action, Remove Apps and Configuration. So me and my team manage devices for customers fairly often in Intune. If you're wanting to manage desktop applications or mobile phones, stuff like that, and it gets really, really finicky when you go through and we do sometimes like kiosk tablets for people. Like we'll have a customer that works in the manufacturing space and they have like Android tablets that they're warehouse uses to do things. But so you are, pushing out programs and applications to that device, but you're really taking a lot of user autonomy away from them. You're basically fully managing stuff on your own and only showing what you want them to show you. Well, when you have a problem with one of those, sometimes it's super frustrating to troubleshoot. Specifically, I had a situation recently where we were working with one of our customers in the defense industrial base space. Their manufacturing warehouse in Germany had 27 tablets. 2 of them were not working properly when all the other ones were. Same device number of everything else, same everything. Going through and troubleshooting that was a lot of, all right, now let's unregister this device. Let's reboot it. Let's re-register it in and see what comes in this time. Because there wasn't a way previously to just choose to remove and reinstall a specific app. You basically had to either go through and remove that app from all of the tablets, or basically just go through the enrollment process for that individual device itself. What this new update is that's coming through on the list of being in development is going to give you the ability to selectively remove and reinstall specific applications for devices. So rather than going through and saying, okay, I'm managing these 40 apps for this thing, I go and say, well, the one app that's not working for me is app X, even though it's working for other devices. So I don't want to rebuild that profile from the ground up. I don't want to rebuild from scratch. Just for the one device or the 2 devices that I've impacted, I want to remove it and reinstall it, because we all know, especially with like Windows stuff, sometimes that fixes the problem, right? The ability to do that to devices was not available before. Will be available when this update comes out. And actually a pretty big quality of life improvement if you've ever had to go down the process of troubleshooting that. That is set to come out, let me see. That is set to come out in June of this year, so basically this month. And then the final one that I'll mention that I thought was kind of cool, I'm not going to get into this too much because I don't want to bore everyone. There's a new privacy risk management feature that Microsoft is calling Microsoft Priva, privacy risk management. It basically is a way that you can extend some of your risk management as far as protecting data and to more robust sources other than just what you're going through and doing. Well, they actually have an update coming out that Priva is going to extend its policies of what you're going through to configure in your 365 to Azure SQL, Azure Data Lake Storage, and Amazon S3. So basically your large database property resources inside of Azure, you're going to be able to extend your data risk management stuff, which is basically, hey, I want to make sure I'm not exposing PII. I want to make sure I'm not exposing personal information or sensitive client information. You can not only do that through like your documentations, and your documents are going to be sitting in M365, which is what Priva did up until now. You're going to be able to extend that to some of your large databases. For the customers and companies out there that use the databases as sources of knowledge for their applications to work properly, this is huge. And this is going to allow them to extend the same internal risk management templates that they use to safeguard their data on a documentation layer out to their business application layer as well too. So super cool to see that coming in.
Anybody else thinking in their head or wondering how we got the name Priva that might or might not be confused with Viva?
Who knows?
Microsoft Teams versus a SharePoint team template.
He said they can call it Teams or Forms, one or the other.
There's lessons we can learn.
Microsoft has a gift with naming.
I just so many things.
There is one more that I'm interested in, and that's Microsoft Teams enhanced sound notification controls. So you can change the sounds of your notifications to help you stay focused. I don't know about focused, but prioritize quickly and avoid less important distractions. You can as well make urgent notifications and priority contact notifications more prominent. And you can also mute notification sounds when you are busy or in a meeting. I am so happy.
I just want to have a laughing sound every time Adam hits me up, because that's always fun. And then have a gong sound when other people hit. We could just have a lot of fun with this. And who am I kidding? I have all my notifications turned off anyway. It's once I figured out, when I run it in, silent mode or whatever, everything goes away. So since then, my computer just runs in silent mode. It's beautiful.
Awesome.
You're getting a call.
Huh?
How do you know you're getting a call?
It pops up on the screen.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the story she's going with.
No, it's pretty good. Well, anything else in development that we want to cover, or shall we move to
Good.
rolling out? All right, let's roll on out. I only have one here, which was the custom images as a section background. So that's inside of SharePoint. You can customize with section backgrounds now with your own image. And then they've enhanced the focal point, which is when you're in the page and you want to focus on one page, one piece of the image that then also becomes the thumbnail. To have more settings, like it can fill, overlap, opacity. That's just great. And then customizable backgrounds. So more options and power over the image to make your page beautiful. That's how they describe it. So we're making
brings a tear to my eye.
beautiful pages, beautiful pages. So yeah, I think that's great. So that's mine. How about you, Tamara? What do you like in rolling out?
Oh, I'm torn between the two.
Give them
So I'll
both.
take Outlook, multiple insights and notifications on profile cards. So previously, users were only able to see one insight or notification on their own or a colleague's profile card. Now they'll be able to see multiple insights through a show all button. Hashtag new Outlook for Windows. The other one I thought was interesting was Microsoft Teams programmatic, hard word, desktop sharing. So with desktop sharing made available out of the box, meeting presenters can now screen share in their meeting apps directly onto the stage for improved collaboration. So Microsoft is introducing programmatic desktop sharing, which allows developers to enable screen sharing specific pieces of app content, unlike the currently existing share to stage functionality. Meeting participants cannot interact with the shared app. They have a view-only mode of the presenter's app screen, similar to screen sharing, but in one click. The shared content is automatically captured in the meeting recording. This works great for co-consumption scenarios and requires little developer investment.
Well, I've got one that I will mention, and it's the Microsoft Stream suggested M365 content in callouts. So if you're working with Stream, there's an interactivity feature. When you click on it, if you have edit access to the document, it allows you to do callouts in certain times of a video, like a link to a document that might be relevant or a link to a website that they need to go out to, kinds of calls of action, things like that. So the goal of improving this particular feature is to make creating and editing of interactive videos easier and quicker for editors by suggesting resources to link based on their user activity. If there are no relevant suggestions, this allows them to search for resources to make their videos interactive from within Microsoft Stream. Again, anything that kind of gives you a hint of like, hey, it might be really cool if you put this particular document out there because it seems like this particular meeting is relevant to this document. And yeah, let me help you put that in there. I think that is a great step forward for people if they are trying to make videos that are relevant and useful rather than just 30 minutes of people blah, 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 blah. So.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah blah blah. What do you have,
Hello?
Adam?
Blah 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 blah.
Nothing too exciting
Quote
from an admin perspective, so I will cede time to the prettier half of our team, the prettier 2/3 of our team, 3/4 of our team. Everyone but me, basically.
Too funny, Adam. We think you're beautiful. So canceled is really a non-event this week. There are 3 items in canceled, and all of them are canceled because they're a duplicate. So I'm going to just go ahead and say nothing's canceled because that's what that means. So
That
they just
works.
cleaned up the roadmap. So the canceled ones, I did have somebody ping me on one of these already this week. And they're like, oh my gosh, my favorite feature, they're canceling it. And then I was like, which one? And then I went and looked it up and I was like, you see where the part where it says it's being removed because it's a duplicate? They're like, oh, I had to read the last sentence. So
Never mind.
I thought that was funny. So nothing to see here with canceled. So we are a wrap. Very few updates this week, but that's okay. Right after build, you'd kind of expect that. So I think it's probably going to trickle, and then we'll get close to the end of the Microsoft fiscal. We'll probably have a quiet period while everyone's recovering, and then we'll go into crazy town again. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.